Have you heard of the old Chinese saying that goes, blue dye comes from the indigo plant, but it's bluer than the plant itself? This phrase is similar to the English expression, the pupil has become the master. Back in the day, ancient Chinese people used this phrase to praise students who outshine their teachers, since it's rare and impressive for a student to grow beyond their teacher's skill, right? Maybe comparing countries to teachers and students isn't a perfect fit, but in some ways it still works. In recent history, lots of countries have gained independence, but it's super rare to see them surpass the original parent country. Even more so if we're talking about an unauthorized state, isolated from the international community due to pressure from its original country. Well, there's one country that managed to pull off this incredible feat, even in a small corner of the Gulf of Aden, a place infamous for piracy, civil wars, and instability. That country is Somaliland, which we're going to explore today together. Just as the name suggests, Somaliland's origins lie with Somalia. Yeah, that's right, the one infamous for pirates. Back in 1991, while Somalia was embroiled in clan-based civil wars, Somaliland declared its independence. The people there were fed up with the discriminatory politics of President Mohamed Siad Barre, who had been ruling with an iron fist for 22 years. And it's no surprise when you consider that modern-day Somalia was originally created by merging two distinct territories, British Somaliland and Italian Somaliland. After nearly half a century as separate colonies, British Somaliland gained independence from UK on June 26, 1960, and then just 5 days later, Italian Somaliland gained full independence, and the two territories hastily joined together to form what we now know as the Somali Republic. Physically, they became a single nation with one border and one government, but the different colonial influences left their mark. The British and Italian approaches to governing these lands were worlds apart, and that became a massive hurdle for unity. You see, Britain had tons of colonies to manage, unlike Italy. So they considered cultural involvement in its colonies to be less important than economic exploitation. It's given hands-off vibes, like,
we'll just let you be, no big deal.
And this was even more true for small, overlooked regions that didn't have major resources to exploit like India did. Meanwhile, Italy, which had fewer colonies, took a more hands-on approach to cultural involvement. Because of this, British Somaliland maintained its ancient clan traditions, while Italian Somaliland's clan structures faded away with just a few decades. And this difference is a big deal. Clan structures may seem divisive, but for these people, they developed wise, traditional ways to resolve their conflicts. The elders of each clan would gather to discuss issues and reach agreements. This is called the Elders' Council. Italian Somaliland didn't get this luxury. Instead, the clans there became just a cover for power struggles. Starting from 1991 and continuing for 33 years up to the present, the civil war is still ongoing. It's to the point where any foreigners need armed security to travel even short distances. On the other hand, Somaliland declared independence in 1991, and despite some bumps along the way, has managed to establish a stable political system. It may not be an economic powerhouse, but Somaliland's streets are free of armed militias, and kids are actually playing and laughing on those streets. Some people even call Somaliland a miracle state for pulling off stability in such a rough neighborhood near the Gulf of Aden. Pretty interesting, right? Today, the one big wish that Somaliland's people have is for international recognition. They want to be seen as a legitimate, independent state. And their politicians know this is exactly what their people want. Almost every presidential candidate in Somaliland campaigns on the question of
how can we gain international recognition?
That's the key issue. Maybe it's that strong national desire that's driving them forward, because Somaliland isn't holding back in making a case to the world. In January 2024, Somaliland and Ethiopia signed a Memorandum of Understanding, a move that made waves. Ethiopia, a landlocked country, agreed to gain access to Somaliland's Berbera port in exchange for, well, Somaliland got a share in Ethiopian Airlines and, more importantly, a promise from Ethiopia to push for Somaliland's international recognition as an independent state. Now, it's still just an MOU, but Somaliland's bold move to negotiate directly with another country, ignoring what Somalia thinks, is already causing a stir internationally. The MOU involves real assets and state-level recognition, which has sent shockwaves through international relations. Now, East Africa, especially the nations in the Horn of Africa, are showing signs of strains and division because of this MOU. Somalia, of course, is not thrilled. And countries like Djibouti, which has been making good money as Ethiopia's main port, as well as Eritrea, who has a rocky history with Ethiopia, are also taking sides. Egypt is even going as far as sending military supplies to Somalia. Things are definitely heating up. It makes you wonder, how hard can it be for a small country that's got its act together to gain independence, especially when it's more stable than its original country? But unfortunately, the question of recognition isn't so simple for unauthorized states. Any country that recognizes Somaliland risks straining ties with Somalia, and the balance of power in the region could shift as a result. And in international relations, power balance is practically another word for peace. If that balance breaks, it often means conflict. And in a world where independence movements are still active, recognizing one small country could set off a chain reaction. That's why the big powers and international organizations are so conservative when it comes to recognizing unrecognized countries. Somaliland and Ethiopia probably knew this would happen, but for Somaliland, the desire for recognition outweighed the risks, and Ethiopia likely saw itself as strong enough to handle any fallout. Somaliland is giving total main character energy. Is it going to be a masterstroke that brings peace, or will it backfire and lead to more conflict? We'll just have to wait and see how things unfold. We support Somaliland's independence, recognition, and lasting peace. Special thanks for the initial 1,000 subscribers. I'm grateful for each of you joining in to uncover these fascinating, lesser-known histories. Up next, we'll explore the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic, another unique story of a place seeking recognition. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss it.